of Shootout Pro Wrestling with Survivor of Pain, Bill Blanchard. And tonight is a very special edition as we dig into the archives and find a spooky conversation Bill and I had back in the day. This originally aired as WLW We Love Wrestling 605, our Halloween special. Yeah, it's that time of year again, isn't it? Where all the freaks come out to play and all the spooky matches that can take place. I hope you have as much fun listening to it as we did doing it back in the day. Enjoy.
It's the horror of Halloween. It's WLW 605 like you've never seen. And tonight we can discuss as the men turn into monsters as they step in the ring for the world heavyweight titles. Or we're going to see the dead rises from the grave, walk into the Hell in a Cell, and they kill even a bigger demon. Oh, I'm getting choked up here from all the fog and the ice. And this horrifying graveyard tales as me, a Christian Fury, will present to you the gates of hell of Halloween Havoc, Hell in the Cell. The true origins of the Dungeons of Doom, and the Ugandan giant Kamala, and the mysterious Yeti, and the master himself of the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan. Weaving the oppression from the brothers from all the way from hell, the Big Red Machine, Katie, as we will discuss even Katie Vick. We will discuss as the greatest ultimate warrior as he answers the challenge to get buried in the casket and to get bit by a cobra, but the men they call Jake the Snake. And when the full moon rises, Christian Fury and Survivor of Pain begins to die on this very special WLW 605 Halloween. It's coming. It's here. Hey, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Survivor of Pain, Bill Blanchard, along with my new co-host, Christian Fury, a man who shocked the world. What's up, dude? Happy Halloween to you.
Yeah, happy Halloween, boy. That was a scary introduction.
Damn straight, dude. Let's get this party started.
Popping open an ice cold Dr. Pepper right now.
Ice cold monster. I have got a scary tale that will even make demolition shiver as they think of LOD. Not the LOD, not the Road Warriors, even the powers of pain. Anyways. So, Mr. Fury, we know we normally do a spin the wheel, make the deal, but tonight I decided to spin the wheel a little early. I decided I just want to get a little more chills on my bones and a little fight in my spine. I want to show the whole wrestling world what I'm all about. I decided to spin that wheel, and I want my trick or treat to be for real. And let's get started, my friend.
All right.
Let's get this shot fired. Tonight, all Village's Marines line up and be prepared to make the first shot. The Christian Fury. Here we go. Shots fired is on, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Christian Fury. What the hell scared you when you were a little squirt when you were watching Superstars of Wrestling?
Boy. Are we doing shots fired or WLW?
I just said shots fired.
And
we're firing the first shot. You're already a dumb fuck, aren't you?
Dude, I've been hit in the head one too many times. You said both shows in like 2 minutes.
I did, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Well, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. The zombie Dickens ate half my brain. Only half my brain.
No, I think you.
I did say WLW 605, didn't I? Well, damn. The joke's on me. Well, how about this? Tonight we combine forces. We'll combine 605 and Shots Fired for this special Halloween edition. Because we love wrestling, don't we not?
Yes, we do.
We love chair shots. We love seeing all of mankind fall from heaven straight to hell as he smashed through the table at the hands of the biggest reaper of them all, the Undertaker, and made mankind rest in peace. But he didn't rest in peace, didn't he? Oh, hell no. He climbed back on top of that cage and he wanted some more just to get toasted right back to hell as he crashed to the ring till we all thought was mankind's death. But it didn't happen, did he? No. The scariest thing about it, you can't kill the undead. You can't kill Dalmatian, mister. They don't die like a man dies. As Reverend once said to Dr. Loomis in Halloween 4, you can't kill them, Dalmatian, mister. They don't die like a man died. You can shoot them 6 times in the heart. You can set them on fire. You can electrify him. You can stab him with a butcher knife. Or you can, like a casket in his hand, hit him with chair after chair, as Jake the Snake once did to the Undertaker. But even the cobra-biting Python Master couldn't even scare the big Grand Reaper. But it wasn't 2 years later when his own brother, who debuted in the ring with red fire and brimstone, who walked down to the hell in a cell, who ravaged with fire and overcome the purple cold in your heart, and he unleashed the gates of hell as he tombstoned the dead man to the ground. But even the Grand Reaper then couldn't stay down. Because after 3 long months, he rose from the grave and answered from the challenge to fight the demon in hell. It took 1, not 2, but 3 tombstones to beat the big red machine to the ground. I'm having fun.
I noticed. I think you need to lay off the gold juice.
Well, seriously, dude, what the fuck? Excuse my language. What the heck scared you when you were a child watching wrestling?
Okay, now that I got a question, or got a question given to me again. Well, growing up, I have to say the first wrestlers or wrestler, however you want to look at it this way, that scared the bejesus out of me, I'd have to actually give it up to Dangerous Dan Spivey.
Skyscraper. Hey, what was it about Dan Spivey that scared you, my friend?
I think a lot of his was his menacing looks and that theme music he had in WCW, the way the lights faded and the weird lighting show happened and that weird music that came and played. It just scared me. And can't knock Sid Vicious either, because he had a menacing look. He had that look that would scare the fans too when he was about to do something devastating to his opponent, or his victim, I should say. Oh, but the one that I vividly remember that actually gave me nightmares was the Phenom, The Undertaker. I had nightmares about that guy when I was little. Ooh. As a matter of fact, no offense, but I still kind of have nightmares about him.
I bet you still pee in your pants too when you go to bed at night, don't you?
About as much as you do.
Oh no! See, I got mine under control. See, I wear a damn plastic thing when I go to bed, so it fills up before I get up in the morning, so I wake up dry. But anyways, going back to the skyscrapers. Now, Sid Vicious was a walking, talking Frankenstein. He spent too much time in the tanning bed, if you know what I mean. But he had that monstrous look. Just insane I rule the world. And it's just that psycho Sid look. I mean, yeah, that name fit the role as Sid Vicious. But Dangerous Dan Spivey to me, you know, it wasn't muscles. It wasn't the music. It was his eyes. His eyes scared me as a kid. When he get in the ring, he has some weird sick smile. And that frightened me too, if you can believe that. But going on to The Undertaker, I was watching on Thanksgiving night at the Survivor Series when the Dead Man debuted. And as chilling as that was, I got to stay 6 to 9 months later with a funeral parlor, Paul Bearer's funeral parlor. Oh, welcome to my parlor. And the Ultimate Warrior, the man who looked Andre the Giant in the face and said he wasn't afraid. Ultimate Warrior with no fear in nobody. But you saw fear when he got close to The Undertaker. And, dude, I'm not going to lie to you. What terrified me as The Undertaker hits him with the urn and picks him up and puts the Warrior in the casket, the coffin, and the Warrior was fighting and fighting. And The Undertaker was punching his stomach and punching him in the face and then slammed the door shut. I was scared. I was terrified. I was a little boy in the room. I was crying for the Warrior. Warrior. And then when he opened up the casket, he looked dead. He looked dead. Now that scared me, my friend. Speaking of friends, may I ask you this, partner, boss? Do you hear voices when you're in the ring wrestling?
Yeah, they're usually saying sanctuary and stuff like that.
But you know what I heard when I was a little boy?
What's that?
Sting. Sting. Here I am. Here's my magic of the Black Scorpion. The Black Scorpion, his magic is too powerful for you. Even you and all your little stingers will tremble with fear when you come to face with me, Sting, the Black Scorpion. Now, me be honest, though, we saw what worked with the WWF with The Undertaker and the whole segment, but WCW was doing something a little bit different with another kind of magic, dark voodoo magic of the Black Scorpion. Now, did anything about the Black Scorpion, the whole angle with Sting, how did you react? Because, you know, I've heard Stinger say, and maybe a Ric Flair too, a lot of people felt like that whole thing ruined Sting's career at that time and ruined his championship run, which is why Jim Herd made the call to get the belt off Sting and put it back on Flair, because he wasn't drawing in the house, so it's because of this Black Scorpion angle. But before I put my 2 cents in, if I liked it or hated it,
Well, my reaction to it, at first I was scared. I didn't know who it was. I didn't have a clue. The mind games that was being played on Sting during this whole ordeal, that was enough to give you nightmares. It's chilling, you know, wanting to sleep with the light on, if you will.
I mean, you know, I liked it. You know, I was watching WCW Saturday night. I would see Sting on channel come out in the ring and offer a guy $500. Hey man, I want to wrestle one guy to nominate doing it. And you know, the other guy, I can get $500 if they wrestle this match, because he wanted to hear the Black Scorpion's voice. He's still trying to find clues for the Black Scorpion, you know. And I saw the whole thing at Halloween Havoc 1990 when the Black Scorpion did a whole little magician voodoo magic, if you would, trying to play mind games with Sting. But going into the whole horror concept, you know, he had a pretty good matchup that year with Sid Vicious for the world title. So much controversy happened in that match. Kind of a horrifying Houdini. Sting got kidnapped. Barry Windham runs the ring with face paint, although they didn't show his face. Just show him from behind. And then Sid Vicious get the 1, 2, 3. Sid was called the world champion. About maybe, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Then the real Sting comes back in like he was tied up in rope, gets back in the ring, hits Sting with a belt, Stinger splash, hold up, 1, 2, 3, Sting retains the world heavyweight title. I mean, but, you know, long story short, I don't know. I've heard wrestling fans in the South are different than the fans out up north. Most of my friends talked to me back then and loved what was going on, but everybody was trying to figure out who was the Black Scorpion. You know, who was it? You know, it could have been Eddie Gilbert, could have been Rick Steiner. There was possible rumors that it could have been the Ultimate Warrior. So how could that have been? He was a World Wrestling Federation champion at the time, so it couldn't have been. You know, so I thought it was one of those
horrifying things, but the reality of it was Pistol Pez, unfortunately, the Black Scorpion, because he thought he was going to get the world belt, and he found out he wasn't, and then he wasn't no part of it. So it is what it is. But moving on, dude, I mean, we saw a lot of horrifying things during the Halloween havoc of WCW, and the same thing with the WWF or WWE with Hell in a Cell. Let's move a little bit forward here. I mean, let's talk about some other dungeons and demons. And I remember the Gundam giant, Kamala. He was slapping his tummy. He had this little kind of native gladiator kind of, scary face kind of look kind of deal. And then he was, really to me, I mean, I saw some parts in the late 80s and early 90s, but really caught my eye the first time I ever heard of the coffin match. I mean, you had the body bag matches that Undertaker and Warrior would have. He proved out some house shows. Even Roddy Piper fought the Undertaker in a body bag match on the house shows. But, the first time you had a taste of death was when Undertaker was building that coffin for the Gundam giant Kamala at the Survivor Series 1992. That was pretty cool, dude. What you think of that?
Oh, man, I love the casket matches. I love the way they evolved, and that was the first of its kind. Painted up with the star and the crescent moon, like the Ugandan giant Kamala painted on him for his war paint.
It was awesome, dude. I mean, I'll do one a little bit further. They say the sequels are hard to beat the original, but the second time you would see a casket match is when the build up a couple years later between the Undertaker and it seemed like the invincible, the unstoppable, the grand champion sumo wrestler, if you would, the World Wrestling Federation champion at the time, Yokozuna. They're matching up Yokozuna against the Undertaker in the casket match. I loved those promos they did all the way up from the November all the way up to the January of 1994, the whole cold, encrypted feel, if you would, as the Undertaker, oh, Yokozuna, my Undertaker, is working day and night before your casket, oh, yes, Yokozuna, Merry Christmas, ho, ho, ho. I mean, dude, God, man, I was feeling the spirit of Halloween even during Christmas when I was watching the Undertaker and the Superstars of Wrestling build that casket day in and day night, preparing it for Yokozuna. But what about the match? Let's talk about the match, man, that they had, that casket match. Because there was definitely some supernatural stuff that happened in that match in 1994. And that's 94. I was in the 8th grade that year. And even at that age, I got a little bit chills of watching that match between Undertaker and Yokozuna. What were some of your memories about that match or build-ups that you want to share?
Sadly, that was a time period I didn't get to watch wrestling that particular year when that happened. But
well, dude, go over the WWE Network, $9.99 a month, and watch that match. I mean, Undertaker, Yokozuna. The scariest thing about it, though, boss man, all of a sudden you had the head figures. Also, you had Jeff Jarrett. You have IRS, I think, even came out there. A bunch of other guys came out there repeatedly trying to take Undertaker out. Even Bam Bam Bigelow, I remember specifically seeing him. And what happened was, boss, after they all freaking pounded Undertaker, somehow they opened up the urn, and it seemed like all this smoke and stuff just came out of the freaking urn. It was almost like the Undertaker's power was being drawn away from him. For years, everybody wondered how the Undertaker seemed superhuman, like Lurch or Frankenstein. He just wouldn't feel pain. He would just rise up, right? Well, it wasn't rising no more after bonsai splashes and splashes from the head shrinkers and Bam Bam Bigelow doing some maneuvers as well. And then finally, Crush was in there too. Finally, they were able to pull Undertaker into the casket and close it in that wonderful freaking promo, I think he said one day he will return, and you kind of see like the shadow of the Undertaker kind of rise into the crowd. And dude, it was pretty creepy, man. I loved it. But if you haven't seen it, man, watch January's Royal Rumble 1994. It was awesome.
Gotcha.
Well, let me ask you this question. On the other side of the fence, behind the Mason-Dixon lines of World Championship Wrestling, Sting gets an invitation. Stinger! invitation here. The White Castle of Fear. Are you familiar with a strap match? Yeah, that's what he challenged Sting for that vicious leather belt strap match. Big Van Vader, the White Castle of Fear promo. Now, answer me this, man. Did you ever get opportunity to see those promos for the White Castle of Fear?
That I did watch.
Awesome, dude. What's your memories of that, man?
Going to a secluded location in the Colorado Rockies. And a whole build-up right there, man. It's building up for that damn strap match. It seemed like a psychological victory was already being won by Vader at that point. That's what it seemed like on the promos now.
Oh, I loved it, man. It was definitely. I loved the match. Tony Schiavone on what happened when I was watching him do the rerun. A Super Brawl 1993 that took place for the strap match. Schiavone said that was the most brutal match he may have ever called in the ring. And I remember I went back watching that match. Just the marks on Big Van Vader, the marks that happened on Sting, and Vader got his ear sliced open in that freaking match. I mean, let me ask you this question. Me and both been in the ring. Imagine how Vader felt after defeating Sting in the strap match and Sting whipping him Vader at the end after it was all over. Vader walks back with a chunk of his ear missing, welches all over his body from the belt, and all his hear was, poor Sting, and Vader was like, brother, a piece of my ear is missing, and all you can talk about is Sting. Yeah, I'm on Vader. I'll be pissed off too, but that's okay. Stinger had more matches with Vader. I'm pretty sure Vader took those sympathy beatings on Sting for that. But and hey, dude, if you ever watch, I'm pretty sure you've seen this one, the table of three. Actually, I think it was Paige, Sting, and Vader. You're talking about that. Vader made a little gesture about that, and Sting says, "Wow, he's not ticked off about that, is he?" or something like that.
He ain't mad about that at all, is he?
Yeah, he's not mad about that at all. I'm glad that's just
all they could think about was poor Sting, and I'm the one that took the worst beating.
Oh man! But hey, man, let's move on to the forward here, Matt. We got some great more horrifying matches, but the first time I ever heard of spin the wheel make the deal, then I did saw it in 1992, and then this is during the Bill Watts era of professional wrestling. Some say it was good, some say it was bad. It depends on what your perspective of it is. But I was pissed off the first time. Now, I was happy to see Sting go one-on-one with Jake Smith Roberts, right? I mean, I love the build-up. I love what was going on. But to me, a coal miner's glove match, I'm expecting a cage match. I'm expecting a street fight match. I'm expecting something more brutality. A coal miner's glove match, a con the pole to grab a glove. I mean, it just, I don't know, man. I mean, Sting and Jake Smith did the best they could, but I was not that impressed with the first ever spin the wheel make the deal. But, boss, the second one redeemed itself. Cactus Jack, Big Van Vader, in the third big meeting, I think it was. And granted, unfortunately, it was a non-sanctioned match, not for the title, like the other two matches were, I think it was. But Texas Death Match. To me, at that point, that set the standards for what hardcore wrestling is supposed to be. I never really saw anything like that at that point. I saw some no holds bar matches, whatever kind of, deal between the Road Warriors and the Skyscrapers and, the Chicago street fight that they're famous for. But to me, this match right here was nothing of its kind at that time in 1993. Halloween Havoc, Cactus Jack and Vader. That dude was sick, man. What are your thoughts of that?
Boy, that had to be very freaking brutal, gory. Even if you hadn't watched a match, but if you know these guys, Cactus Jack and Big Van Vader, they spilt blood all over the world. Mick Foley got his ear ripped clean off his skull at a match with Vader in Germany, I think.
Yeah, it was Germany. Yep. Matter of fact, it was during that time period when that happened. I don't know if it happened before how we happened or shortly after, but it was during that time period between 92 and 94 when this happened. So they're working together a lot.
Mm-hmm. But just the brutality of the whole match is something I ain't never seen before at that point in time. It would look like a train wreck on I-95 by the time it was all said and done.
I mean, it was bloody. It was gory. I mean, they went at it back and forth. Vader got busted open. Cactus got busted open. Hell, that's where I learned this particular phrase I used in the last UCW show. I mean, Jesse the Bobby Ventura said, well, you know, Tony, the only good thing about this match, Cactus and Vader were already both ugly to begin with, so they ain't got much to lose in a match like this. I've always loved that line about Jesse Ventura. God bless him. But, hey, dude, let's move forward here a little bit. You know, we saw some other great horrifying matches, but what about some other kind of drama that happened in wrestling? Let's take the WCW a little bit longer before we go into the WWF a little bit more in depth. Do you remember Halloween Havoc, 1995, in Detroit? I just saw this event not too long ago. It was Hulk Hogan versus the Giant. Paul White's big wrestling debut in the ring, you know, where here is a monster truck challenge. Two guys in a roof and a sumo kind of style match with the monster trucks. And then later on in the night, they're going to face in the ring for the World Heavyweight title. Now, dude, I was hyped for this. I was psyched up for this. I mean, this was the beginning of the big feud between Hulk Hogan and the Dungeon of Doom. Yeah, it kind of already happened. Started at Bash the Beast that year, but it really went to another level, in my opinion, at this point. So you had the Dungeon of Doom, you had Zodiac, you had Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, obviously the leader, Sullivan Fowler, the old master, I guess, whatever you want to call him. You know, you had Kamala was involved in this. You had me, Barbarian, Faces of Fear that was involved. Poor guy, John Tender, went from earthquake to avalanche. Now he's Shark. What the hell, dude? That part, I felt bad for John Tender, but hell, at least he had a job, right? And, yeah, exactly. You know, and of course, the Giant. Now, this guy to us, you know, was very, very impressive. He was built as the son of Andre the Giant, dude. And to be honest with you, at the moment, I believed it. I mean, hell, how could you forget that? Big freaking dude. I had no idea he was from Macon, South Carolina. But, you know, the Giant, though, you know, he has such a freaking scary presence, you know, and I've never seen Hulk Hogan was going to be pushed to a limit like he was in this kind of situation. He's older Hulk Hogan, not the same Hulk Hogan that fought Andre, you know, 8 years prior at WrestleMania 3. But in this kind of situation, boss, I don't know if you remember or not, during the monster truck battle, okay, Hulk Hogan did beat the Giant truck, pushed him out. Giant gets out of his truck, mad as hell, corners Hogan. Then you get close to the top of the edge of the roof, both of them up on top. The Giant was choking Hogan. Hogan, you know, broke the Giant's choke. Giant loses balance and falls off the freaking roof. And Hogan said, oh, no, help, you know. Of course, Bobby the Brain Heenan is selling this like crazy. Tony Schiavone was like, okay, we need to find out what's going on. And the Brain is crying and begging and pleading, trying to find out what happened to the Giant, what's going on with the Giant, you know. And of course, Hogan gets out to the ring. Hey, brothers, I didn't want the Giant to take the plunge, brother. It wasn't supposed to go down like that. And then the Giant music came, and Giant's walking in like it ain't nothing, and Hulk Hogan looks scared, slapped to death. Now, did you see that pay-per-view? Did you think it was TV?
I watched that pay-per-view live at a buddy of mine's house.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I did too, actually.
I mean, the monster truck thing was cool and all, but it wasn't until we thought that the Giant got knocked off the freaking roof that you're like, that's not supposed to happen, was it? You know, you start questioning yourself and start questioning your sanity on it, going, that don't just seem right there. And then with them trying to get updates on the Giant, but nobody knows where they are. They're still searching for him, and then Hogan comes out and starts trying to talk on a mic and trying to, you know, shed some light on everything, and then next thing you know, the Dungeons and Dooms music hit, and out comes the Giant, not even a scratch on him. Boy, that played mind games right there.
I mean, did you believe it? Did you fall at that moment? Did you fall for it? Did you think, okay, this ain't part of the show? I mean, I think you already mentioned it, but really deep down, like, okay, is this a work? I mean, back then we probably didn't know what a work was, but, you know, the teenager watching this shit, you're like, oh my God, you know, were you horrified? I mean, the WCW's plan to throw a little trick at you, did it work before it gets you treated later on watching a giant face Hulk Hogan one-on-one?
I mean, psychologically, yeah, it worked because it surprised the hell out of me. It was more shocked than scared, you know?
God, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Well, let's move forward, man. Let's go. Let's check out the other channel. Let's see what Rich McMahon is going to be doing with the WWF. We hit some kind of hellacious, horrifying storylines other than the dead man himself with the Undertaker, if you would. I mean, were there any other wrestlers? I mean, you want to go ahead and jump into the Kane scenario? You know, and the big red machine factors, because he had a lot of crazy death-defying moments as well. I mean, hell, let's talk about this right here. Now, were you scared when this happened? Now, we all saw it, Hell in a Cell, very good match between Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. We all know they set the stage what Hell in a Cell is supposed to be like in the first original Hell in a Cell. That was the debut of the big red machine, Kane. Now, when Kane came out there, what was your initial thoughts? We're like, oh, shit. You know, did you feel the goosebumps? Did you feel something? Or you terrified, intimidated of Kane at all? Or, you know, what was Kane like?
Because when Kane first ripped the cage off, that was impressive. Ripped the steel door right off the hinges, right off the thing, broke the chain, everything that was holding it. Gets in the ring and was able to stand face to face with the Undertaker, which really there was nobody in the company at the time that could. Everybody had to look up to him at this point in time and gave him his own tombstone. Not only that, but stealing a page out of the Undertaker's book with the whole magic thing, being able to summon fire out of the post and everything at the time.
That's insane, dude. Well, what do you think about leading up to WrestleMania 14? I remember watching this on Monday Night Raw. I can't remember if I was on the phone with you or not that night, but I don't know, I was talking to somebody. Because out there, Paul Berto, Kane, you show a demonstration of your power. And Kane, like he was just bringing a lightning bolt from the ring and just freaking hitting everybody. He's hitting the announcers at the broadcasters booth, and probably like, what are you thinking of that? Witches of the night? And then all of a sudden, he sits in front of the camera so he has on freaking fire. I mean, were you believing like, this guy on freaking fire, you know? I mean, what were your thoughts? I mean, I thought that might have been a little too much comic bookish, if you would. I wasn't buying that crap for a second. I mean, that's a little too much theater, if you would.
Little much theater, but at the same time, you know, we're teenagers at this time, so I mean, it was one of those where you're trying to say, okay, this is a little nuts, you know, but you went along with it still because it was part of the story, you know. But can you imagine watching it as a kid? You know, I mean, if you go back and think about the stuff you watched then, and it was probably borderline the same as what we saw when we were growing up, you know, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what do you think about this? You know, fast forward a little forward later, that you're back to the Undertaker, if you would. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to go too fast. To me, this is another, although it was in the summer, but it had that Halloween feel. Maybe not the cold chills, more like raging fire, if you would. It was one of my favorite summer pay-per-views this year. Actually, I thought this was better than SummerSlam that year. And SummerSlam always never let me down. But this particular year, I thought, like, oh my God, it was so, I got so into it. And at the time, I was pro WCW, but dude, I'm sorry. This is during a time period, even WCW was starting to let me down with some of their pay-per-views. I mean, if you watch Slamboree 98, it was good, but okay. And I saw the Great American Bash 98, that just killed it for me, honestly. You know, the only thing that good happened tonight was Sting beat the Giant, but even then, I was just like, come on, man, I wasn't feeling it. And then I remember the following week was King of the Ring 98, dude. I'm talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane in a first blood match. On the same night, we had The Undertaker challenging Mankind in Hell in a Cell. Dude, the promo they did with Classy Freddie Blassie, man, made it so intense for me. I actually felt goosebumps on my spine. My hair stood up a little bit because I was hearing a dead man actually do it. And Blassie wasn't dead yet, but he was pretty close to it. You know, God bless Classy Freddie Blassie, but he had that unique voice that just spoke to me, you know what I'm saying? To me, he was a Dr. Loomis of the WWE because, you know, it's just hard to describe it, man. I mean, but it was like, I love the build-up they did, and the matches itself was horrifying. I mean, come on, dude. Who would not want to tune in if somebody could have ripped that mask off and make that man get set on fire? Because that was the stipulation of that match, you know? If I don't win the title, I will set myself on fire. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin says, Kane, I get the hot dogs, I get the marshmallows in, I'm going to let you burn your big red ass all night. And you better believe the fire's going to go out. Old Stone Cold will set another log on the fire. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So if Austin beats Kane in the first blood match, we're going to see Kane get put on fire, okay? Now, granted, if you haven't been paying attention to the damn storyline, okay, boss, if you haven't been paying attention to the damn storyline, thinking, well, God, I just gave it away right there. How Kane's going to freaking win the damn match. It's nothing, motherfucker. Kane already set some freaking TV guy on fire. And then what about the Inferno match? Okay, it happened after WrestleMania. Didn't The Undertaker put Kane's arm on fire? So, yeah, it wasn't hard to believe, you know. It wasn't hard to believe at all. I mean, Stone Cold just won the Team Championship at WrestleMania. Obviously, the hottest thing going around. They're kicking WWE butts in the race at this point. So, no, I did not expect for Austin to lose the belt right there. It didn't make sense at that particular moment. So, like, yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to see Kane get put on freaking fire. The mask is definitely going to come off. Austin's going to bust open his freaking hell and rip Kane to shreds. You know? Well, why not? But what you saw that night, what you did not freaking expect, I did not want to see another Undertaker and Mankind match. I'm sitting there, my brother-in-law, my sister's boyfriend's house, if you would. And I'm watching this match like, well, let's hurry up and get this freaking beat down over the cause we're going to see Austin and Kane. And Mr. Mills seeing Mankind on top of the cage. I'm like, okay. Undertaker on top of the cage. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to dance around this for a little bit. I wasn't really getting into it because I've seen so many Undertaker Mankind matches. What else could he possibly do that I haven't done before? And all of a sudden, Undertaker threw him from the top of the cage to the freaking floor. And, dude, I stood up like, oh, my God! And fight, dude. Tell me that I freaking get your goat. Right then there. Talk about something you didn't expect to freaking see. That woman right there stole the freaking show. Ain't no way in hell Austin Kane was going to live up to that, dude. I mean, damn, man. Comment something here.
Yeah, no way.
I mean, what is this freaking thing? You think Mick Foley was dead at that precise moment? When he freaking fell. I mean, it's a human being. It's a body. It's not like it's a dummy. It wasn't like a damn stunt double. I mean, let's start freaking playing tricks on. Oh, that was freaking Mick Foley, Mankind, Cactus Jack, whatever you want to call him, got through from the top of the cage on down to the freaking table. Now, tell me you weren't scared to show us for Mankind's life at that point. I sure as hell was.
Dude, honestly, I thought the dude was dead. And if you go back and you watch, what is that, Hell in a Cell 20-year anniversary special that Mick Foley did stand up, he talks about that very moment. You know, he freaking Terry Funk whispered in his check to see if the dude was still breathing because Undertaker asked him to go check to see if he's still alive.
I know.
Before he got choke slammed out of his boot or out of his shoes.
Well, it actually happened when the second time. No, he got up and climbed on the back of the freaking cage, and the Undertaker choke slammed him through the freaking cage, and he crashed it all into the freaking ring. I mean, dude, that moment right there, he had to be dead. He had to be dead. There's no freaking way. And we all know what happened a year later after this, man. The scariest thing about it, we all knew Owen Hart fell to his death in a very, very similar manner. So it was almost like, my Lord, man, talk about, that should be a wake-up call. Mick, why are you taking chances like this? But figure if Foley could survive it. I mean, I don't know. It was almost like you saw the horror right there, but actually lived a tragedy a year later. With Owen Hart, God bless him, man. But damn it, dude. the WWE at that point, in my opinion, was really testing the reality lines here of what's real, what's not so real. Although it was real, there's only by the grace of God fully survived. Now, I'm a religious man, Jay. You know as well as I do. I do truly believe the good Lord says, okay, I'll give you one. Be careful what you're doing. And Owen Hart, my opinion, had to be showed Vince a lesson here. Don't push your talent. You put some kind of limitations on your talent here. You don't have to figure doing death-defying stunts just to get over. But hell, 20 years later, obviously Mick Foley, that got him over. It didn't stop Mick Foley from doing more vicious stunts in the ring, obviously. But still, man, that scared me, man. I'm just being honest with you. You're looking for a fight, Hell in a Cell, 1998, King of the Ring will give you a fright. But going on to the next match between Stone Cold and Kane, I mean, granted, yeah, Kane did win the match. I mean, Taker and Mankind still got there and got involved. But you see Stone Cold and Steve Austin, whole body covered in blood. It wasn't on that. The match didn't come off. Austin tried, but he couldn't prevail. The Big Red Machine, the monster, if you would, the walking, talking Frankenstein, if you would, the true monster of the WWF actually became the world champion, the World Wrestling Federation champion, if you would, beating Stone Cold Steve Austin. That right there, in my opinion, put Kane in the Hall of Fame. Maybe. I don't know.
One day.
Yeah, we will be in there. But it's almost like you didn't see masked wrestlers win the World Wrestling Federation championship or even the world title for that point. I mean, you just didn't see it. I mean, other than Kane and Rey Mysterio, Kane winning the WWF title and Rey Mysterio winning the world title, which we all know goes back to the WCW days, but he was world title in the WWF, but you know what I'm saying. What other masked wrestlers can you think of that actually won the world title or World Wrestling Federation championship? I think Kane was the first. I'm going to research that, but my memory tells me this. Kane was the first guy as a masked wrestler to be the World Wrestling Federation champion.
I believe he was, because they even made mention about it when he won it, that he was the first masked champion.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio would win it years later.
As the world title, world champion, 2006.
He also won the WWE championship.
Yes, he did, briefly.
He won it and lost it in the same night.
And John Cena. But I call it the first.
It had to be Kane.
So that was impressive, man. I'll give Kane credit where credit's due, But moving forward, man, when Undertaker, obviously later on that year, he did the whole somewhat crucifix thing. Was I know McMahon said, "It's not a crucifix, it's a symbol, Bruce." Okay, this is but the whole thing with Austin up there. It had its moments. I was kind of like, whatever. I felt like, but I gotta admit it was funny seeing a bald-headed Steve Austin up there. Like, oh crap, looking around. It was a little funny. This is facial expressions he tried up there. Oh man. But dude, okay, let's get a little further here, man. I mean, I know we saw Undertaker. Obviously, we saw a lot of these big angles. What are your memories when the Legend Killer Randy Orton was trying to make a name for himself in 2000 and I know 04 he finished up the World Mick Foley. This is 05. I remember now. 2005 he started to feud with the Undertaker. We saw I think it was no pay-per-view if you would. Randy Orton defeated the Undertaker in his own casket match, and then once again he put the casket on fire. And everybody thought, well, you ain't gonna see Undertaker until what? Next year, WrestleMania, but they came back at the Armageddon and showing us down to his return against Randy Orton. When you think of that, some of those poker night stuff, if you would, where Randy Orton's in the bathroom and he looks at the mirror and then boom, there's the Undertaker's face. Orton turns around, and the Undertaker turns back around, and he sees the Undertaker, and Orton freaking leaves, and it's onto his face and kind of turning his head, looking where Orton is going. Now, what did you think of that, honestly?
That was crazy. Not only that, but at one point he saw blood on his dad's face.
Now, during this whole stuff, which is kind of humorous, but like WCW, years prior, were criticized when they tried to do something very, very similar to the Warrior and Hollywood Hogan at the time. When Hollywood Hogan would look in the mirror, all of a sudden there was a Warrior's face. Hogan was like, you know. But WCW was highly criticized. I guess they just didn't have the right people in production to produce these things because it didn't really get over too well in 1998 when they tried that something similar to Warrior. But hey, dude, let's move on a little bit. We've got to mention this guy. What are your memories of Papa Shango and those voodoo stuff they tried to do to the Ultimate Warrior? I remember specifically Warrior was he was taking on Nasty Boy Brian Knox, if I remember correctly. He was in a match with Superstars of Wrestling. This is right after WrestleMania 8, right? Papa Shango comes out to the ring, grabs the Warrior's, one of his bandanas, if you would, goes to the back. I guess he got some kind of voodoo curse. And all of a sudden, in the match, Warrior starts holding his stomach. And he's just got the agonizing pain. Medical people and WF officials coming in the ring trying to get him in the back, and Warriors just screaming and screaming, and all of a sudden he just pukes everywhere. And Papa Shango just some kind of voodoo curse. What are your real thoughts? Were you ever terrified of Papa Shango in 1992?
A little bit, but what got me is when when Ultimate Warrior was doing an interview and he started bleeding from his face.
Yeah, man.
For no reason.
I remember it was like, boy, Papa Shango, you must stop this, boy, and all of a sudden, you just see from his forehead is this black liquid, if you would, and we're like, boy, okay. Too much cocaine and coffee with you. But I didn't mean to rewind and fast forward here, dude. I know get close to the end of the show, man, but let's talk about this real quick, man. What was some of the most top horrifying moments we probably haven't mentioned yet? What really, truly scared you? I got one first in mind. I'm going to bring up just a second. That terrified the hell out of me. But what
about the Chamber of Horrors match?
Oh, yeah, Halloween Havoc, 1991. That was pretty interesting. That's where that dude, the butcher, got put in a freaking chair. It was either Sting or Rick Steiner flipped the freaking switch and electrified him.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if you're ever going to get around to that one.
People really criticized Halloween Havoc 91 Chambers of Horror for some reason. That was actually the opening match, the big cage match they had that involving Sting and the Steiners and a few others against Jack Azul, the Butcher, and a few other guys. Just that match didn't get over very, very well, surprisingly. You know, it was highly criticized. I guess, I don't know. That's probably why it didn't stick out my mind all that much. But, you know, the ending was kind of funny. Yeah, put your opponent in the chair and flip the switch. Excuse me.
But I think we need to go on to honorable mentions. That was pretty good match types, but may not have made our list that we talked about. And I want to think of the Thunderdome match.
Oh, dude, I was 10 years old, man. 10 years old. That was, believe it or not, that was the first, other than SummerSlam 89, that was the first, SummerSlam that was a WWF, but my first WCW pay-per-view I saw live was Halloween Havoc 1989. My God, dude, if you don't mind me mentioning this, it was Sting and Ric Flair, okay, against Terrence Funk and the Great Muta. You had Ole Anderson holding one towel, Gary Hart holding their towel. And the idea of this match, they're going to beat each other to death if whoever person throws in the towel and surrender, man. Dude, it was probably, now granted, Sting and Flair might laugh about that particular match. Some people didn't like the cage. But dude, as a kid, God, I was in wrestling heaven. I love that match. That is the all-time, my top 5 favorite matches of all time, only because it stuck to my childhood so much, man. The Thunderdome cage match, Halloween Havoc, 1989, settling the score. Also on the card that night, if you don't mind me mentioning this, it was Flying Brian Pillman challenging the total package Lex Luger for the U.S. heavyweight title. That's another good matchup people need to take a look at. And of course, the big meeting between the Road Warriors and the Skyscrapers. Dangerous Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious versus Animal and Hawk. Dude, Halloween Havoc 89, man. If you haven't seen it, check it out on the WWE Network for $9.99. I'm sorry, man. I didn't cut you off. I just got too excited.
That's all right. And another honorable mention, if you haven't watched any of them yet, would be the Punjabi prison match.
Oh, yeah. Talk about that one there, boss.
Well, it was supposed to be Khali's thing against The Undertaker, their one of their meetings, but for some reason Khali couldn't wrestle The Undertaker in this Punjabi prison. It wound up being The Undertaker and the Big Show.
Big, weird, because Khali was in the backstage, supposedly. I don't know, with pretend and whatnot, and Ted Long says, you know what, Big Show, you were not ring night. Get the stepping, player. I'm like, wait, what? Dude, I'm surprised people didn't ask for the money back. And people are looking for, because the pay-per-view prior, the Great Khali demolished The Undertaker. It was the Dead Man's rematch, and just, I don't know what the hell happened. I'm not sure the reasons why. Could be a number of reasons why, but yeah, hey, give the Big Show credit. He put up a pretty good fight against The Undertaker, in my opinion.
Yes, and in a match type that hadn't been done at that point, but the concept of it, I mean, you having to climb over cage after cage, made out of bamboo and steel. I mean, granted, they're not going to tell you the steel part, but it has to be, or the bamboo wouldn't hold up to the weight of the rope trying to climb it.
No, definitely not, man.
But we got to see one more recently when Jinder Mahal was WWE champion, defending his title. And guess what? Khali came out and made the assist.
Weird, huh?
But that was definitely a scary type style match that didn't quite make the cut of the list, but deserves honorable mention.
Well, if I could mention the other mention yet, I want to say this though. The one guy, as a kid growing up, granted, he's not a respected wrestler, but to me, he should be a respected character, because in my opinion, the character did got over. It brought a lot of money when the guys were having these matches in 1989. That's because of the movie No Holds Bar, but for SummerSlam, even No Holds Bar Christmas, the big cage match, and it was the Human Wrecking Machine. Hogan, Beefcake Barber, we are going to destroy you. My God, the first time I saw him there, he had such a presence, such a big, the monstrous eyes he had were cross-eyed, if you would. Someone like that staring at you. I don't care if you're Hulk Hogan or Brutus Beefcake, even Randy Savage, with all due respect, you couldn't control the Human Wrecking Machine Zeus. I mean, that time right there, Zeus seemed invulnerable to pain. I mean, I love what Zeus brought to the ring, that presence he had, and what the match they had at SummerSlam 89. I thought it served its purpose. I thought it was pretty decent. And then the scary thing was at the Survivor Series 1989, Zeus was so powerful, so strong, ripped Hulk Hogan's neck, and it pulled a vicious chokehold, and he wouldn't let go of the hold, and the referee figured disqualified. I'm like, what the hell? Talk about getting ripped off with your money right there. But then Vince made it right when he made No Holds Bar Christmas, the match, the movie, together. Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake will challenge my Macho Man and Zeus in the steel cage. I mean, damn, hell, he made some money with that stuff, man. I mean, as a kid growing up, Zeus was very, very intimidating. And I know some people might laugh a little butts off about this and how they criticize me for saying this, but if I had to create a fantasy warfare match as far as the fear part goes, do you think the Human Wrecking Machine Zeus would have had the fear of death of the eyes of the Undertaker looking back at him? I have my doubts on that. At the time, I'm talking about early stage, Undertaker 1990, when I saw the Human Wrecking Machine Zeus face to face, two big boys, both of them, it seemed like they were impervious to pain. Who would have won?
Well, it's hard not to be biased, but I'd have to say Taker would have probably won.
I think the Human Wrecking Machine would have freaking ripped the Undertaker's head off. Sorry, I'm a little bit biased too, because I thought Zeus. Remember now, Undertaker felt the chair shots, the other hard ass too. If Zeus would have got it, Paul Bear would have got in the ring and tried to hold the whole urn thing. Zeus would have got a hold of it and got that freaking urn, I think. And I think Zeus would have used it on the Undertaker. I mean, I don't know. I think the Human Wrecking Machine Zeus, probably would have done a good look into the Undertaker. Just my opinion. You gotta remember now, someone like the Berserker gave the Undertaker a run for his money. He was the first one to really put Undertaker down, other than Hogan. So I don't know. I think Zeus. I know you're a little biased, which is cool. I still feel like the human record machine, Zeus, you would send the dead man take a couple steps back, in my opinion.
That's cool.
But what about 2018 in the World Wrestling of Entertainment? What's some horrifying things that they talk about doing for Halloween? Or even 2017 or 16 or 15? I mean, oh, yeah, go talk about your boy Bray Wyatt. How do you think he's getting on as a freaking heel in his little demonic, wrong-turn ways, if you would? And it's the Wyatt family and some of the stuff that he does that remind you from The Exorcist.
He's almost like that weird Southern preacher, backwoods preacher that is more of a cultist, you know, that tries to get people to follow him and everything. Yeah, that was him with his family, especially when Braun Strowman came in as part of the family. Yeah, that was an intimidating picture.
Okay, I got a little situation here for you. If you're booking a big, death-defying War Games style of match, the match beyond, you bring in the Wyatt family against the Ministry of Darkness or the Brood. How do you feel?
Well, the Wyatt family versus the Brood.
Or the Ministry of Darkness.
Huh?
Well, at one time the Brood was the Ministry of Darkness, but you know,
yeah,
or the three members of the Wyatt family against Gangrel, Edge, and Christian, the Brood. I think they would have matched up against.
I think it would have been a good match, but I think the Wyatt family would win that one. But if we went the Ministry of Darkness, being led by Undertaker, and out of the Ministry of Darkness, you had Triple H and we'll throw a big beefy guy in there, Big Daddy V.
I was about to say Viscera and Little Vinny. I mean, come on.
And then against the Wyatt family, I would have to say the Ministry of Darkness would have won that match.
I don't know. I think the Wyatt family would have beaten Big Daddy V.
Well, I'm talking about all three.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Undertaker would be busy outside the ring, and Big Daddy V probably would have gone down. Wyatt family they're pretty, from what I can tell, they're pretty smart. You gotta remember that was the team that also defeated the Shield in Elimination Chambers. You know, I don't know, dude. I'm gonna disagree a little bit. Not knocking the Undertaker. If Undertaker had his brother Kane with him, which is all he needed, yeah, they would have defeated the Wyatt family. But Big Daddy V don't have a big, history of playing all smarts in the ring. I think they would have they would know it's him or Viscera as the weak link, and they would have gone for him while distracting the Undertaker. Just my opinion. But if it was just the Undertaker, obviously already proven, the Brothers of Destruction, if you had them against the Wyatt family, we already saw at the Survivor Series on the 25th anniversary of the Dead Man's debut, if I remember correctly, they defeated the Wyatt family.
By themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Well, dude, it's been an honor, man.
Reliving our scares. Reliving our nightmares. Reliving.
Yeah, I got to say this real quick. I heard this in on their podcast, and I talk about 83 weeks of Eric Bischoff, and then I don't understand this, man. I saw this match. They were criticizing Roddy Piper and Hollywood Hogan cage match at Halloween Havoc 1997. I got to say this, man. I'm going to disagree with Mr. Bischoff here. I thought Piper and Hogan had a good fight. They're trying to say, no build-up. What do you mean? I saw tons of build-up. I mean, Piper done talked about, how Kurt Ernie slammed the door
and Ric Flair's head, Hogan, I'm going to slam that damn door 10 times on your freaking head. I'm going to make Mike Tyson look like a vegetarian, you know? I mean, I saw Piper and Hogan really try to
fall in and fight each other. I enjoyed that cage match at Halloween Havoc in 1997. I don't know if they're freaking, criticized. As a matter of fact, I wanted to go back and watch that match after I heard that podcast. Like, dude, I don't get it. Maybe because I'm a Piper and Hogan fan, but from what it was, I thought Piper and Hogan did a hell of a job at Halloween Havoc 1997 that year. Just my opinion, if you don't mind me saying so.
My opinion, I thought it was a good match myself.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the matches and one of the reasons why I wanted to watch Halloween Havoc that year.
Oh, yeah. But Piper said, I'm going to take hell back to Halloween Havoc. Me and Hogan in the cage. Damn it, dude. I was excited. But then again, Jay, we've been accused of being stupid Southern wrestling fans. Us standing in the WCW, making fun of Southern wrestling. I don't know. I guess we have a different taste than Northerners do. I don't know. Not knocking anybody up north or anything, but hell, don't take away my Southern wrestling, man. I love what I see.
Exactly.
That's just me, But any other things we need to freaking add a little more frights and chills and fire and brimstone? Are you good?
I'm good. I'm good. I got enough to keep me up tonight.
Well, I ain't going to sleep, man. I'm the death-defying matches, road casket matches, and the co-runner glove matches, and the leather duck strap matches, and the steel cage matches, to the first blood matches, or oh my God, dude, what the hell, man? He buried him alive! He buried him alive! When The Undertaker was buried alive against Mankind, the pay-per-view was 1996, the first ever buried alive match, and The Undertaker rose from the freaking grave. I'm surprised we didn't mention that one. I just shit popped my fucking head. What is it worse? I'm being honest, okay? First you had the body bag match, body bag. You put your pony in the body bag, you go into the freaking, you go into the fucking morgue, right? Or a casket match. You get put in a freaking casket. Or more crazy. What's got more crazy than this, Bruce? A buried alive match. Ha ha! I love it, Bruce. Good job. What do you think, man?
Really, the only thing that's different is the stipulation, but at the same time, they all represent one thing: death.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Damn it, Bruce, they're burying him alive. And all the heels under the back. Sid Hunter, Sid Goldust. Everybody there, they're burying The Undertaker alive. I'll do a little treat in the night. Yeah, I can just see face being all excited before we were out here throwing at him. Yeah, we're going to bury him. The Undertaker says, what's this? Damn it, Mark, I paid you $2.5 million a year. Your ass is getting buried alive. Okay, Vince. Damn it, dude. How do you sell it to somebody? Okay, you're going to lose tonight. This is how you're going to put your foot over. You're going to get buried alive. What? Getting buried alive? Oh, shit, really? Yes, you're getting buried alive. Do you say The Undertaker was really enthused about being buried alive? Really? He's a dead man, the Grand Reaper. These are his signature kind of matches, but he actually lost probably more than he actually won. Literally. How do you think he really, really felt about that there, Paul?
I don't think he cared for it, to be honest. Especially most of his signature matches, he doesn't have a very impressive win-loss record in them.
Well, I think we finished the WOW Shots Fired Special Crossover. I'm your host, the Crate Keeper, survivor of pain, Bill Blanchard, along with the Phantom of the Night, the Mystery of Death, Christian Fury. Or you can just call me William Myers, and there's Jay Voorhees.
There you go.
Speaking of which, fans, if you haven't seen it, go to the theater and prepare to watch the 2018 Halloween, 40 years from the original, watch Michael Myers and Laurie Strode have their final showdown. Speaking of which, are we ever going to get the rematch between Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger? Don't think it's going to happen. But hey, watch up on YouTube. A bunch of freaking videos about Jason Voorhees versus Freddy, Jason Voorhees versus Michael Myers. Personally, my heart's with Michael Myers. My money's on Jason Voorhees. I don't know. It's a kind of a toss-up kind of deal who actually won between Jason and Michael Myers. But Michael Myers is the original to me, man. So I guess my heart would be with him, but my money would probably be on Jason. Who would you pick?
Jason. Jason?
Oh, okay, cool, man. I like Jason and everything. You know, but we're both icons in the horror field. But either way it goes, man. Well, dude, hell, man. Until next time, I'm Bill Blanchard.
I'm Jay Garganeous.
We'll see y'all next time. Y'all have a good night, y'all.